My name is Tami Powers, and my content is Queen.
You should know that you can't win with just the king on the board. Content is queen. Listen, you'll see.
Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Content is Queen. And I have a very special guest, someone who doesn't look like the industry that she is so magnificent and fabulous and all that good stuff within. Please meet Tami Powers, who was born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Growing up, her passion was everything gymnastics and following her older brother around while he built streetcars. Like, girl, I don't know how you did that with nails and stuff. But at the age of 22, Tami moved out west and made her way to Los Angeles and made Beverly Hills her home. She has worked within the motorsports industry for the past 23 years. And she's the connector. She makes sure that she finds the best in class female race car drivers and forward thinking brands. So she connects the dots. So I am so happy to dig in and learn about Miss Powers because we don't see many women in this sports. How did you, I know your brother kind of got you into it, but what was it inside of you that wanted to say, I want to be in motorsports. I want to be in this space? Because a pretty girl like you is not normal.
Well, I can tell you that at the age I was following him around while he worked on his streetcar, I was, in that awkward age that we all have that we're like, with the crooked teeth and the ratty looking. Anyway, I was quite a tomboy, if it's what they used to call it. I don't know. But I used to follow him around. And what really fascinated me about automobiles at that time was just, especially the race cars, was the smell of the rubber, the smell of the oil, the sound of the engine was very, very fascinating to me. And I remember annoying him to no end, following him around and what are you doing now? What are you doing next? Like you do to your older siblings. And I was very annoying to him. But I remember in high school, I signed up for a shop class because I really wanted to learn about the inner workings of the car. And my dad always told me, you got to know how to change your own tire and you got to learn how to change your own oil. You don't want to have to depend on a guy for that. And, God bless my dad, rest his soul. He was right. So I signed up for a shop class in high school. I think it was probably ninth or 10th grade. And I was so excited to, go into that class that day and learn about cars. And they had a real car in there with a real engine. And, a lot of it was just hands-on training. And I really wanted to learn all I could so I could be cooler to my brother too. Right. So that was the plan. And I went in there and I opened the door and there was a room full of 20 boys and a male teacher. And all of a sudden my hands started sweating. And you know how you get that lump in your throat and you're like, and the energy was not welcoming at all. It was, everyone looked at me and they're like, what is she doing in here? And almost like, do you have the wrong room? Are you sure you're supposed to be in here? And that was the most heartbreaking memory of that time of my life because I was really passionate about something. And then I leaned in, I went in there and they didn't accept me. And I remember it's like in your head, you're like in a split second, should I leave? But you're stuck there and you're like a pillar of salt, just stuck there. And I went in and I sat down and I don't remember anything anybody said. I don't remember anything. All I remembered was looking at the clock going, please God, let the bell ring soon. Like I have to get out of here. And I never went back. And, I told this story a couple times before in interviews, but I never really realized how much impact that had on me throughout the years. I had no idea I would end up in motorsports after something like that. So I always tell these young women and men that I mentor, it's like you can get, your teeth kicked in, and you laying flat on the ground looking at your own blood. And I always say you haven't been in the fight until you taste your own blood, right? And I tasted my own blood that day, and I had no idea what it meant at the time. But looking back, I understand that was an ember in my belly, because then once the fear subsides and you start really quantifying what that meant, then the fire in your belly starts, right? And so people say, how do you do this every day? How do you get up and fight this fight every day and push and elevate women for equality in motorsports? It's because of the fire in my belly. I don't want anyone else to feel the way I felt that day. And so that, looking through all the years and decades of my life in motorsports, I knew, looking back now, I know for sure that was starting something that, that made me ask myself after 23 years, what was my purpose in motorsports all these years?
Right.
What am I leaving? What is my legacy? And during 2020, when everything shut down, I saw all the problems in the world with women in motorsports. And I said, well, I need to elevate these young women so they don't have to feel like I felt.
That's amazing, because, I honestly, from meeting you, has sparked my curiosity in motorsports. Never thought about it. I mean, I'm one of those parents who get really annoyed when the motorcycles are like revving down the street. Sorry, that's me. But then when I started to dig in deeper and look at the industry, you're right. You barely see women, but now you're seeing women at every single stage.
Every single stage. Engineers. So if you look at the Indy 500, this in 2023, I'm an a-hole for not knowing her name off the top of my head, but the engineer for the team that won is a female. So, and you're looking at all these different areas in motorsports where women are thriving. It's not just hospitality and marketing anymore. It's women changing tires. It's women, working on the crews, working as an engineer. And we're seeing so much more. And I think what the industry is also realizing is with that diversity comes growth. The more point of views you have in a room, and the more layers you have to the onion, and any business is going to thrive. And the numbers are showing us that. The data does not lie.
So talk to me about, because when I think about motorsports, of course, it's just very male dominated. Where are some areas that you are most excited about for women? Because like you said, there's engineers now, there's, everything isn't the fluffy stuff anymore that we were known to be within. But what are you excited about and seeing the industry shifting? And what do you say to girls and women who are encouraged, to keep them encouraged to say this is a viable industry to enter?
I think when you look at the economics of it, right? So motorsports is a $6 billion a year industry. Well, we know that less than 1% of that goes to female drivers. So we are shifting that. We're shifting it. And I think when you look at the projections of that, and you see there's really, really a heavy push right now for women in motorsports as drivers. So I would say, if you love karting and you love racing and you're a driver, you're a driver. It doesn't matter. The car doesn't know your gender. The car doesn't know anything about you but your ability to drive it. And so we know this. We've listen, when I started this company, I asked myself the hard questions. Are women and men equal in a race car? Viable question. Do I have the upper body strength? Do I have the ability to take on -5 G forces or positive G forces and all these things? What am I physically able to keep up with the men? Absolutely 100%. Actually,
I love how you frame that, because it's not like other sports, right? So you think about strength and all that kind of stuff. This is a mind game and skill. So that's
Yes.
the part I got goosebumps. I never thought of it that way, but yes,
But
there's
I like to look at the facts of things and sort of leave I get very emotional about this. And I have to remind myself, Tami, take a step back and let's look at, quantify what's in front of you that's factual. And a guy named Dr. David Ferguson at Michigan State University Motorsports Lab has done many, many published studies on this very subject. So I looked through everything and I thought, give me a reason why they're not there that's in the either mental or physical form. And there aren't any. Women actually tested higher. Women can handle more G forces to the body based on their anatomy.
look
Women make great fighter pilots because of that. I mean, that is insane what these women do. So I looked at that. And then, some men in Europe have said women don't have the aptitude to, they don't have the fight and the hunt. And I'm thinking, have you met, what women are you talking about? Right.
I was
And
like,
so,
who are they talking to?
and what I love about the men in Europe is they say anything in the media there. They don't have like people around them going, don't say that. You know what I mean? Like they just say it. And I have like a little log of quotes from different men in motorsports and what they've said about what female drivers. And I keep it in my notebook. And it puts a little gas in that fire I told you about in my belly to keep going.
Mhm.
And but so I went through all of this information and I said, I'm trying to find something that is going to persuade me that they're not equal in a race car. And they are equal in a race car. If not, women have more capabilities if they get the same amount of training that the men get. And that's the only problem women have in motorsports is opportunity. So I created Power Drive Motorsport Futures, the power of brands, the drive of these drivers, these athletes. And Motorsport Futures is the financial part of it. Because if Janet Guthrie in 1977, first woman to qualify for the Indy 500, if she would have had corporate sponsors, she could have kept going. She could have kept going in her career. But she wanted these late night talk shows. She's trying to get Coca-Cola. She's trying to get all these brands. They just weren't ready to support a female in motorsports at that time. Well, and they're still not. They're still not. It's better. It's better. But man, before I leave this earth, I want to see so much more progress. And that's what I'm working towards.
So what do you think is the disconnect between brands and female motorsports athletes? Like, what's the disconnect there?
I think it's one of those things where there's this subconscious thing going on. And some people and my friends in NASCAR, we've had these back room conversations about this kind of stuff. And I appreciate these guys. They're very honest about what the chatter is about. And I think one of the things that stood out is that these brands don't want to risk investing in a woman. So the fact that there aren't many of them there's nobody in NASCAR Cup Series that's female right now. There's no one in the IndyCar Series that's full-time right now. There's one young lady in Indy Next, which is their minor league series, Jamie Chadwick. She's over there. But they don't want to risk it. And I'm thinking, listen, we've got to equalize it. So my goal to build a bridge for more than one, more than two, more than three. Once we stabilize that, it's no longer a risk. It's investing in the best in class that's there, and not looking at gender, not looking at any of that, and just looking at them because of what they've accomplished and what they're projected to do in their career, just like any other athlete.
Mm-hmm. So who do you have your eye on right now? Who, you're just like cheering her on. She's it. She has it. Who's that? Who are those one or two or three female athletes that you have your eye on?
Oh my God. There's just such a healthy pool of women right now that are out there. Destiny Spurlock, I'm watching her like a hawk because she has the fire in her belly. She has, and I always call it, she has the juice.
She does.
You got the juice. She's got the juice. Her everything about her is so amazing and beautiful. Her insides match her outsides. And I'm constantly cheering her on. Another one of my clients actually, Sabra Cook, she is the first and only female in the Porsche Carrera Cup GT3 series that races under IMSA. She is the first and only female in that series. So she called me up after her first race, and she made the top 10 in her first race. And out of 41 drivers, she reached the top 10, and she said, "Oh my God, I'm racing next to guys who raced in IndyCar and F1." And I go, and
I know.
you've also been a race car driver for 22 years. You've done this your whole life. You're supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm really excited for her. And, I connected her to a corporate partnership that's funding and fueling her journey in Porsche Carrera Cup Series, and then building that bridge into the ladder at IndyCar. So that's her goal. And watching her shine has been incredible. And another one I'm really excited about, her name is Ashley Sanford. And she, former drag racer, Top Fuel Dragsters, 11,000 horsepower, 330 miles an hour in under 5 seconds. She is now driving a monster truck in the Monster Jam. So she's killing it. She's killing it. And so I'm watching all these beautiful things happen to amazing, deserving people. And I'm just thrilled. And one of the other ones who is a dear, like almost like family, is Antron Brown. And he is a 3-time Top Fuel world champion in the NHRA, and he owns his own operation now. So he raced for somebody else throughout his whole career. He started in motorcycles and moved into the highest form of drag racing, which is NHRA Top Fuel Dragsters. And for the last couple of years, he's owned his own team. He has wonderful partnerships on board with him. He's one of the big drivers for Toyota. And watching him succeed has been, and knowing him 22 years I've known him, has been a real joy for me too.
That's amazing. So now I'm literally typing down everyone's name so that I can go check them out and follow them on social media.
Yes, yes.
Because this sport is so fascinating to me. I did not realize how many layers of the business. Forget the drivers, right? Like, not forget them, but like when you think about the industry, all you really know from the outside looking in is the cars, and you see the patches on the outfits, but you don't really know what's going on until you're really paying attention. So I'm fascinated about how you were connecting brands to your drivers and being that bridge, especially for women, where you were able to encourage, like saying, no, you're supposed to be there. And I'm going to bring along some corporate sponsors so you can take it to the next level. I commend you for doing that, because you're the one that's going to get all the punches, right? As you're having these conversations, and they're going to say, oh, I'm so sorry, sweetie, which drives me up a wall. I don't know how many times I probably heard that. But I know, being in a male dominated space, they take you sometimes as a joke, because they're so accustomed to seeing men. So kudos to you for taking on this challenge. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck in everything that you do. I want to be invited to the next one of your clients' races so I can be firsthand and experience that. Are there any last words of encouragement for young ladies and little girls who are interested in this sport?
So I would say, and it's something that I struggled with, and certainly a lot of the young women I talk to struggle with, we focus on the negative of what we feel, or what we perceive people think of us. Or if you make a mistake, you feel like you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing, even though you love it. If you don't make mistakes, you're not doing it right. If you don't fail, you're not going to win. You've got to fail over and over and over again. And we drill this into these young people's heads, but it doesn't really saturate. It feels like it's not really saturating. And when you can see somebody who makes mistakes, we see all the quotes from the greats, like, what Michael Jordan said, about missing all these shots. And then, but how does it really sink in? It sinks in with people like me that they can relate to on a level that is organic, in the sense that I'm just like you. Like I know how you feel. Excuse me. I know how you feel. And when I say to my daughter, yes, you can go speak up in front of your class, and she's terrified, I'll a lot of times show her, get these mentors around you that you can see, feel, and touch, that aren't on a TV. Find those people within your communities that can lift you up when you're on the ground, that you can call, that you can get these mentors from your communities, because people that, I would say, surround yourself around people that are doing more than you are and ahead of the game. You latch onto them. That's what their job is now, is to bring up the next generation of great people with whatever you're passionate about. Always, when you have a negative thought about yourself come into your head, you change the narrative right now. You don't wait. You change the narrative in your head right now. You are worthy. You are working hard. You can do whatever you want to do. You can be who you want to be. Don't listen to all the outside noise. You have to be able to learn how to have the mindset to win. I wake up every day. I make my bed. I don't care if I am miserable. I've been sick all week. I didn't want to make the bed. And in my head, you know what I say? I'm going to be so organic right now. I'm like, bitch, make your bed. Just make the bed. Just make your bed. If that's all you do today, make the bed. The next thing I do, I go into the mirror and I say, you got this. You got this. Snot running out your nose, a fever, it doesn't matter. You got this. And, if you do one positive thing for yourself that day, you've done one positive thing. And then it just kind of is a domino effect, and it works out some way.
Like the universe is like, okay, she started off right. I'm going to make sure she goes the extra mile. I get it.
Exactly. And that is exactly right. It's like, what are you telling the universe today about your day? Right when you get up? Mine is, bitch, make your bed. And then it just comes from there. It's just, it all falls into place.
Bitch, make your bed. That's the quote that we're going to walk away with. Everything else will fall into line.
It's really that simple, right?
It's that simple. Listen, Tami, you are amazing. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your wisdom and encouragement for young women who want to get into this sport. I think it is due, and I think we have to support one another. So go out, and if you see a woman on the docket, buy the ticket, do whatever you can, follow them on social media, and make sure that they feel the love from our community, right?
Yes, because here's a tidbit I'm going to leave you with in your audience. 85% of female race car drivers followers are men. So can we equalize that too?
Yeah, okay, that's a challenge. All right, Content is Queen listeners, stop what you're doing, find a female motorsports driver and follow them today. We should not be outnumbered. We got to be there supporting one another. So let's get that done today. That is our assignment. Thank you so much, Tami. I love this conversation. And that's all, folks. We're out.